Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello everyone. Once again, welcome to our lecture of macroeconomics course. As you know learners, we are in the process of understanding the concept of inflation, unemployment and labor market. Moving forward in the same unit, today we will be discussing on the topic of unemployment, wherein we will understand that what is the meaning of unemployment and how unemployment is measured. Of course, we will also be talking about what are the various types of unemployment. So let's start today's lecture. What we will be discussing today, let us see the outline of this lecture. We will be understanding the meaning of the labor force. Then we will understand the concept of unemployment. Thereafter, we will see that how unemployment is measured. And of course, we will talk about the types of unemployment. To understand the concept of unemployment, it is important first of all that we know that what do we exactly mean by labor force. When we talk about labor force, what we are talking about is all the people who are in the age group of 15 to 59 who we call as working age population. So the number of people who are falling in the age group of 15 to 59 are classified as those people who are in the working age. Now all the people you know that who fall under this category of 15 to 59 age group need not necessarily be working. They may by choice decide not to work. For example, they may decide to pursue their education even at the age of 30. So they are voluntarily saying that we do not want to work or we do not want to be a part of the labor force because we wish to study further. So when we talk about labor force, first of all learners, we have to understand the concept of working age population. That is, we have defined all the number of people who are falling under the age group of 15 to 59 will be the working age population. However, as we have just said, not all the people who are a part of working age may decide to come out and look for work. Therefore, we say that the total population of working age is all those people who are willing to work. That is, we classify them as labor force. And all those who are not in this labor force, that is, who may be in the age group of 15 to 59 but are voluntarily deciding not to work. To them, we classify them into not in labor force. Hence, the working age population of any country would be labor force plus people not in the labor force. Now, this diagram will help you understand this further, and from here we will then derive the concept of unemployment. So, what we have seen is that this pink oval is representing the people who are under the labor force, that is working age population who wish to work or who are already working. Whereas this green oval is representing all the people who are in the working age population but are not in labor force because voluntarily probably they have decided not to look for work or they do not want to work. Maybe they want to pursue other interests. So, labor force is the one which will help us to understand the concept of unemployment. Because people, all those who are not in labor force are as it is not a part of somebody who is wishing to work. So, within the labor force, we will see some people who are employed, that is who are already working. And there may be some who are willing to work but are not getting work. So all those people who are a part of this labor force but are not getting work, therefore they are out of work for some time, they are called as unemployed. They are not in labor force, not by choice, but because they want to work but they are not getting work. Therefore, we will say that the whole labor force is equal to people who are employed plus the people who are unemployed or people who are willing to work but are not getting work. So this pink oval when we see comprises of labor force, of course within the age group of 15 to 59, but some of them are already working, hence they are employed. But some of them are looking for work, but they are not finding work, hence we call them as unemployed. So the whole working age population, first of all, we divide it in the concept of labor force and not in labor force. Why this is important, learners, is because whenever we talk about unemployment, we are only going to concentrate on the people who are a part of labor force. This particular definition will help you understand this further. So if we want to are talking about unemployment, what is unemployment? In simple terms, unemployment means it is the inability of labor force participants to find jobs. That is, all the people who are a part of labor force, who are actively looking for work, but where they are unable to find work or they are unable to find jobs, then we will say that these people are unemployed, or this is a situation of unemployment. So, if a person is not employed and is actively seeking work, then we will be counting them as unemployed. Whereas people who are not engaging in or actively seeking work are of course a not part of labor force, we have seen in the previous diagram. That is, these are the people who are out of labor force. They are in the part of working age population, but they are not actively seeking work, they are not looking for work, hence we will not call them as unemployed. We will say these are the people who are not a part of labor force. So in simple words, we say a person who is not gainfully employed in any productive activity is called unemployed. That is, the condition for unemployment is that a person in the working age group is looking for some productive work, is looking to work somewhere, is looking for a job, but is unable to find any gainful employment, then we will say that this person is unemployed. Now, this activity in these three situations will help you understand this concept of employment and unemployment further clear. Let us understand. Nisha reported to the interviewer that last week she worked 40 hours as a sales manager for the Western Beverage Company. That is, if there is somebody who is doing a survey to see that how many people are employed or unemployed in an economy, now they go to Nisha and Nisha says that last week I was working for a company as a sales manager and I was engaged there for 40 hours. So clearly in this case Nisha is a part of labor force. She has worked also. Hence we will say that in this case Nisha is employed. In the second case we are saying that Ram lost his job when a particular plant he was working for closed down. Since then, he has been visiting various offices of the factories in this town trying to find a job. This means there is a person, Ram, who lost his job and now he is again looking for a job, but right now he doesn't have a job. This means that this person is actively seeking work, but he is not getting work. So in this case, we will classify Ram as unemployed. Let us take another case. Let us say Ritu is there. Ritu is a homemaker, and last week she was occupied with her normal household chores. She neither held a job nor looked for a job. So this is the case of a lady who has purposely decided, voluntarily decided not to look for work. Probably she may be in the working age group of 15 to 59, but she has decided not to look for work, so we will not classify her as unemployed. We will classify her as what? We will classify her as somebody who is a part of out of labor force. So these three situations have made it clear for us to understand that who will be a part of labor force, who will be considered employed in labor force, and who will be considered unemployed in labor force. So in the first case, as we have seen, in the first case, Nisha we had classified as a part of labor force who is employed. Ram is a part of labor force but is unemployed. Ritu is a part of out of labor force because maybe she is not willing to work due to her own choice. So these three are the situations which can summarize the concept of labor force and out of labor force. Within labor force, somebody is employed, and within labor force, somebody is unemployed. Now the question which comes to our mind is that very often which we hear that so much unemployment has taken place in India due to the pandemic, or before the pandemic we were seeing outrage everywhere that people are not getting work or unemployment in India is rising. So how is unemployment measured is an important question for all of us. When we talk about unemployment, we say unemployment rate is the proportion of labor force that is unemployed. That is, we are trying to understand that out of the total labor force, what is that proportion of people who are not gainfully engaged in work? When we try to find that ratio or that rate is called as unemployment rate. How is it measured? We are saying unemployment rate is the number of people who are unemployed divided by the total labor force. So let us say if in India we say the total labor force assuming is 100 people or 1000 people, let us take it for a simplistic calculation. The total labor force is 100 and the number of people unemployed after interview we get is there are 5 people who are looking for work but they are not getting work. So if we are trying to find the unemployment rate, we will say it is number of unemployment people 5 divided by the total labor force of 100. So 5 divided by 100 will give you the unemployment rate. So the proportion of people who are unemployed to the total labor force, when we do this calculation, what we get is called as unemployment rate. I am sure now you must be appreciating that why it is important to distinguish between labor force and out of labor force. Because if we take into account out of labor force also in the calculation of unemployment rate, we will get a wrong answer of unemployment rate. Therefore, whenever we are calculating unemployment rate, we will be only concentrating on labor force first of all, what is the total labor force, and then we will be seeing that out of this labor force, there are how many people who are unemployed. Once we get this answer of number of unemployed people and we divide it by the total labor force in the country, what we get is called as unemployment rate. Now, who calculates unemployment rate in India? The most comprehensive and reliable data on employment and unemployment in India is compiled by your National Sample Survey Organization, NSSO. You get a report called as Periodic Labor Force Survey, wherein this report is published, which tells you that in the given period, how many people were unemployed, what was the amount of labor force, how many people were out of labor force. You can look for all these reports. They are available on internet and get a deeper understanding of what is the rate of unemployment in India. Then moving further, when you look into these reports published by NSSO, you will see three things. You will get to see something called as usual status. That is, when these reports of NSSO, they are measuring unemployment in India, they will be talking about a term called usual status of employment. What is usual status of employment? According to this usual status of employment, when they are recording the people who are employed or unemployed, they say we will record only those persons as unemployed who had no gainful work. That is, they were not working in the capacity they should have been working, or they were not working at all for a major time period during the 365 days preceding the date of survey. That is, they are seeing in this survey previous to 365 days, that is in the last 1 year, there were how many people who were actively looking for work or who were a part of labor force but they were not finding work. So such a status is called as usual status of employment or usual status of unemployment. That is, it will give you a long-term trend of unemployment in our country. Second calculation which they do for the measurement of unemployment in India is current weekly status, wherein they are recording the number of persons who did not find work during the survey week. During the previous 7 days, if they could not find work even for a single hour, then they will say according to the current weekly status, these number of people were unemployed. So in this case, they are taking the average of last 7 days of a week. How many days are there in a week? 7. Therefore, they are calling it as a weekly status. That is, when they are carrying out this survey, they ask that to this person that in last 1 week, did you find any work for even a single hour? If he says yes, he will be considered as employed. But if it is answer is negative, this according to current weekly status, this person will be recorded as unemployed. The third is the current daily status. The current daily status is inclusive of both the usual status and current weekly status, wherein they say a person having no gainful work even for 1 hour in a day is described as unemployed for that day. That is, they are going further deeper into it, that instead of asking them in last 1 week did you get work for 1 hour or not, they are asking them that during the preceding to this survey, each day did they get a work or not. If they say even in the previous day, even for half day I did not get work, then they will be classified as unemployed according to the current daily status. So these are the 3 types of measurement you will get to see if you see the report of NSSO, the Periodic Labour Force Survey. You will find unemployment or employment as per the usual status, currently weekly status and currently daily status. Now moving forward, what are the various types of unemployment? We have something which is called as frictional unemployment. It is also known as wage unemployment. Then we have got something called as structural unemployment. And then we have something called as a cyclical unemployment. These are the 3 basic types of unemployment we talk about: frictional, structural and cyclical. Now let us understand that what do we mean by each type of unemployment. When we talk about frictional unemployment, we say it is those brief periods of unemployment which are experienced by people when they are shifting from one job to another job or moving from one labor market to another labor market. So for example, by choice, if you leave job for some time and start looking for a better opportunity, the time taken by you to find the new job, because you have left the previous job and you're finding a new job, the time taken by you to find a new job, which is a brief period, is called as frictional unemployment. Maybe because you are moving from one job, or maybe you are moving from one labor market to another labor market. Then it is called as frictional unemployment. Now, frictional unemployment is generally for a shorter period of time, and it is different from the other 2 types of unemployment we had just seen. How it is important, let us understand. Frictional unemployment is different from structural and cyclical unemployment in basically 3 ways. First, there is demand for labor. There is a demand for labor in the economy, but due to a very short period of time, these people are frictionally unemployed. So when we talk about frictional unemployment, we say that the jobs are available, but probably one person is yet to get to know about that particular job. So there is no dearth of jobs in case of frictional unemployment. Secondly, the frictionally unemployed have the skills required for the existing jobs. That is, there is no problem, there is no skill gap which is there. They have the skills, but they are still looking for work. Probably they are looking for a better kind of work, so they are unemployed. And then this job search period is relatively short. That is, they will get job in a very short span of time. We will appreciate again these three factors, how frictional unemployment is different from structural and cyclical when we move forward. So again I repeat, frictional unemployment is just a brief period of unemployment when the people are moving from one job to another job or from one labor market to another labor market. This type of unemployment does not mean that the jobs are not available or the skill required for a job is not there with the people. Now moving forward for the second type of unemployment, which we have said is structural unemployment, which is a little worrisome for anybody. What is structural employment? This is kind of unemployment is caused because there is a mismatch between the skills of the job seekers or the location of the job seekers and the requirement of the available jobs. We hear it very common these days. It is to hear that the people, students who are graduating do not have the kind of skills which the industry is looking for. Therefore we see UGC and other bodies asking the academia to prepare the students so that they are ready for the job market. So when there is a skill gap, when there is a mismatch between the kind of skills a person has and the kind of skills required by the kind of job which they are which is available in the market, this mismatch of skills can lead to something called as structural unemployment. Similarly, structural unemployment may also arise because there is a geographical gap, because the location of job seekers is somewhere else and the location of available jobs is somewhere else. So because there is a gap between these types of jobs, of geographical gap is there, structural unemployment may arise. Now, structural unemployment, as we just mentioned, tends to last much longer than frictional unemployment. Why? Because until unless the job seeker sharpens his skill so that his skills match with the kind of skills required for the job, he will be unable to secure the job. For example, many times we see when computers came, when automation came, there was a requirement in the job advertisements that you must be knowing so and so software in the computer, then only you come apply for this job. So if we do not have that kind of a skill available with us, we automatically cannot apply for the job and hence we will remain unemployed. Similarly, you may see a geographical gap. You say that such kind of job maybe is available in out in you know in urban areas. In rural areas, such kind of jobs are not there. So there is a geographical gap between finding jobs. So structural unemployment therefore is a little worrisome because until unless you require that skill, until unless you bridge in that geographical gap, that unemployment problem will persist. The third kind of unemployment, before that, let us understand the causes, even though we have just discussed. Structural unemployment, we have just said, maybe is due to new technology, as we have just said, new computer technology is there, automation is there. If we do not know this kind of technology, we might lead to structural unemployment. New resources have come up, which have replaced something which people were earlier doing. So that job has been replaced by a machine. So because of that, structural unemployment has taken place. Consumer demands have changed. Hence, what has happened is that people who were producing that type of a product, it is no more in demand. Hence, those industries will shut down and we will see people getting displaced because of this. Then globalization. That is, there is shift to the foreign markets. You see a particular firm factory was there in India. Now because of globalization, the labor was cheaper in some other country of the world. So this factory has shut down here and started its operations somewhere else in the world. So the people of this country have tended to be unemployed. Then there is lack of education, as we have just discussed. That is, people are not skilled enough. They are not educated sometime enough to take that type of a job. So all these leads to structural unemployment. Now moving on to the third kind of unemployment, which is cyclical unemployment. What is cyclical unemployment? See, all of us know that no economy grows in the similar way. There are ups and downs in the economy. The economic activity may go up or it may come down. So when economic turmoil takes place, when there is a slowdown in the economy, when we say there is a recessionary phase in the economy, then people lose jobs because of that, because companies have decided to shut down, or companies have decided to produce less because maybe their demand is less. So all those people who are retrenched because of that, they get unemployed because of this economic turmoil. Similarly, when there may be an economic prosperity, when there is recovery in the economy, when there is a boom phase in the economy, when the GDP growth rate is very fast, then we see that this unemployment will go away. More people will get to find work. So the unemployment which is associated with the economic activity upturns and downturns is called as cyclical unemployment. So, as we've just said, when there is in the economy, when there is a decline in aggregate demand for goods and services, employment will decline, and hence unemployment will correspondingly increase. This is what was discussed by Keynes when he saw in 1930s when there was a lot of unemployment. Therefore, Keynes advocated that aggregate demand should be increased by use of government expenditure, by the intervention of the government, so that the demand increases and this unemployment problem gets solved. This particular type of unemployment is also referred to as demand deficient unemployment, because this unemployment has occurred because the demand has decreased. Therefore, unemployment is there. So cyclical unemployment requires some kind of a policy intervention by the government, so that the people who have lost jobs because of deficient demand get back to jobs. So what will the government should do? In such case, the government should try to increase the aggregate demand. And we have already seen that what is aggregate demand? It is equal to consumption plus investment plus government expenditure plus exports minus imports. That is C plus I plus G plus X minus M. So if this consumption is boosted up by the government intervention, if this aggregate demand is boosted up, the problem of cyclical unemployment to a certain extent can be tackled. Another very interesting concept which we will see is natural rate of unemployment. You must be wondering, why was not this there in the first three kinds of unemployment we discussed? Natural rate of unemployment is that unemployment that occurs as a normal part of the functioning of the economy. That is, when the economy is functioning normally, without any kind of disturbances, without any unanticipated, unexpected disturbances, always you will see some unemployment rate happening. So that unemployment rate, which is the normal course of functioning of the economy is called as natural rate of unemployment. And sometimes this natural rate of unemployment is seen as the sum of frictional unemployment and structural unemployment. That is, we add up the frictional unemployment. What is frictional unemployment? That is the time taken by people to look for work. That is frictional. And the structural unemployment, which is due to skill gap, or because there is a geographical gap between job seekers and the jobs availability. So many times when natural rate of unemployment has to be calculated, it is taken as a sum total of the frictional unemployment and structural unemployment. And this natural rate of unemployment may be to order of 4 to 5% of the labor force in a free market economy. That in an economy which is running on the free hand principle, there we see that the rate of unemployment, natural rate of unemployment, may be between 4 to 5%. So there is nothing to worry if the rate of unemployment ranges between 4 to 5%, because this is a self-correcting unemployment, because there is a frictional unemployment, and maybe because there is a structural unemployment. So what we say is, when unemployment is equal to this rate of natural unemployment, it is treated as full employment. So full employment is said to exist when the unemployment is equal to the natural rate of unemployment. So what we are trying to say is that no economy of the world, whatsoever the progress of the economy is, the most developed economies of the world also will face some kind of unemployment. There will be nothing called as 0% unemployment. Then if there is a full employment to an extent of natural rate of unemployment, we will say there is full employment. So an unemployment rate equal to the natural rate of unemployment is said to be a full employment rate. Now let us do a small quiz to make you understand this concept. Let us say unemployment that occurs, you have to give me this answer. If unemployment that occurs when workers' skills do not match the jobs that are available is known as what type of unemployment? When we are saying that the skills of the workers are not matching with the skills required for the job. So learners, what type of unemployment it is? Is it frictional? Is it structural? Is it seasonal? Or is it cyclical? When the jobs are not matching with the skills which are there with the workers. So the answer to this would be, it is a kind of a structural unemployment because there is a skill gap. Now let us see the second question. The unemployment rate. How do you calculate the unemployment rate? Is this the percentage of labor force that is unemployed? The number of people who are unemployed includes only discouraged workers, or is it the percentage of labor force that is underemployed? What is unemployment rate? It is the percentage of labor force that is unemployed. Why? Because we have such seen it is what? It is people who are a number of persons unemployed divided by the labor force. So these two questions were just there to refresh whatever we have done in this particular lecture. Now just summarizing the lecture, we have understood that unemployment is a situation where the labor force is unable to find jobs. Then the unemployment rate is calculated as a proportion of labor force that is unemployed. Number of people unemployed divided by the labor force will give us the unemployment rate. Unemployment may be frictional, it may be structural, or it may be cyclical. Then the natural rate of unemployment is that rate where the unemployment rate is when the unemployment rate that occurs as a normal part of the functioning of the economy, then we call it as natural rate of unemployment. And also natural rate of unemployment, if it exists, we say that there is full employment in the economy. It is very important, learners, for you to understand this concept of unemployment, because when we do the next lecture of Phillips curve, we will be combining the concept of inflation which we have done in the previous lectures with this concept of unemployment. So till then, stay safe, stay happy, and happy learning.